Well, hello. I'm back, and this is the second time I'm in fact recording this video. I tried to record it before, and it corrupted, well, no it didn't. I need to be more truthful. I used the wrong mic. So you basically just heard what the equivalent of a coffee pot trying to speak in a microwave sounded like. I don't even know what that means, but that's what I sounded like. So I'm back. This time it's a face cam video, and I have a lot more hair.
Tactical nuke incoming!
So that's new. Anyway, you know the deal. If it's face cam, it's time to rank something. That shouldn't be the deal. I need to use face cam more often anyway, but I digress. Today we're not doing as many characters. In fact, we're not doing characters at all. Today we are simply going to be ranking all of Fallout 4's main factions. That is only the base game's factions though. So that will include raiders and all of the side factions. However, it will not include the DLC factions like the Nuka World Raiders or the Far Harbor factions such as the Children of Atom. It will include the baseline Children of Atom though, so there's that. I've also included 4 settlements in the game because on the Fallout Wikipedia, 3 of them are counted as factions, and the other one I thought I would count it as a faction. Those settlements are, of course, Diamond City, Goodneighbor, Bunker Hill, and Covenant. Just because Diamond City, Goodneighbor, and Covenant are listed as actual factions. Bunker Hill isn't because it can be run by the Minutemen, but I thought I would include it anyway. So, without further ado, I think we should get straight into this thing and waste no more time. So, let's start. Starting off, we have the Brotherhood of Steel. I'll talk about it first, and then I think I'll rank it. So, let's talk about the Brotherhood of Steel in Fallout 4. I must say, the Fallout 4 Brotherhood of Steel, in terms of tone, are my favorite version of the Brotherhood of Steel we have ever gotten. I think their tone is on point. I think they work extremely well. We've seen a lot of different incarnations of the Brotherhood of Steel, and I really like the idea that their main goals do not align no matter where you look. So the main goal of the Brotherhood of Steel is that they want to take technology because they fear it and they want to control it. They want to control technology. But we've seen many different incarnations of this. For example, in the original Fallouts where we saw the Brotherhood of Steel, they were terrified of it. They were so scared of it that they hoarded it from everyone else. And then we've seen more noble versions of the Brotherhood of Steel, like Lyons' Brotherhood of Steel in Fallout 3, who wants to protect the Commonwealth and stop technology from destroying the world. Once again, the very good guy-esque Brotherhood of Steel. Then we've seen a more middle ground like Fallout New Vegas, where they're more hidey and a bit more terrified. On the ropes, they've been beaten down to almost nothing. And then finally, most recently, we have Fallout 4's Brotherhood of Steel, which in my opinion is the perfect incarnation of the Brotherhood of Steel. Now, I say this because Fallout 4's Brotherhood of Steel blends both aspects together, both elements together in the most perfect way. They are the hoarders of technology, but not in the same way. They want to destroy it. Fallout 4's Brotherhood of Steel is led by Elder Maxson, who is my personal favorite leader for the Brotherhood of Steel. He is the embodiment of that hard, unforgiving, untrusting Brotherhood of Steel captain, leader, general, whatever you want to say. The word is actually elder, so I don't know why I didn't just use that word, but he is hard, he is strong, and he is tough. He does not want any technology. He views the Institute as a virus, as a disgusting parasite, as a man-made destruction that will wipe out the world. So he wants to destroy it. He wants to kill all synths, destroy the Institute, kill anyone involved in the Institute, and that is what he believes in. His core values will never change, even when he finds out one of his closest paladins and closest allies, Paladin Danse, is a synth. His core values do not change. Synths are abominations, they must be destroyed. A lot of the Brotherhood of Steel agree with him. In fact, a lot go as far as viewing ghouls, super mutants, and many other of the Commonwealth and the Fallout universe's abominations as in fact disgusting creatures that should be destroyed and killed. However, Fallout 4's Brotherhood of Steel, we see a lot of contrast, especially in characters like Scribe Halen, who is there to show the player how much contrast there really is in the Brotherhood of Steel. How not everyone wants to kill all the ghouls, not everyone wants to kill everyone they see. Maybe some members of the Brotherhood of Steel even could be open to viewing synths as humans, human-like beings too. But there's that contrast which I really like. Dance himself, I really like the fact he was built in as a synth character, because it shows how forgiving the Brotherhood of Steel can be, and how this version of the Brotherhood of Steel really can be truly forgiving and open to synths and other creatures like ghouls living free lives. And I like that contrast. It also, to me, makes sense. If you have a massive faction like this, and they all split off with Pridwins or different groups to go around America, their ideologies along the years are gonna change, or along the months are gonna change, leadership will change, and people will change. People will die, refresh leaders, old leaders, things will change. In terms of companions, you get one companion, and that's Paladin Dance. He's great. Love him, really well written character. He actually develops throughout the game, really appreciate that, and he has a good character development. The Brotherhood of Steel's characters are my second favourite faction characters in Fallout 4. I like all of them. I feel like you get to know all of them really well, from the proctors to the scientists to the scribes to the assholes like Reese. Can't stand that guy. Even all the way up to Elder Maxon himself and the captain of the Pridwin. You get to know everyone, and the one thing I must say I really like about the Brotherhood of Steel questline is that you feel appreciated. Speaking of questlines, let's talk about it. The Brotherhood of Steel questline is probably my second favorite in Fallout 4 in terms of missions. I like all the missions other than two. The first one being the one where you find out Dance is a synth. Now, it's not that I don't really like this mission, it's more that I can tell it was incredibly rushed. This mission was definitely supposed to be a lot more than it actually is. In fact, I know it was. Many YouTubers have covered this, but it's cut content. Originally, what was supposed to happen was you were supposed to have the option to kill Elder Maxon and take over as Elder of the Brotherhood of Steel. They obviously cut this because you already can be the leader of the Minutemen and the Institute, so I guess being the leader of a third faction would kind of feel lazy, which I do respect them for cutting, but it leaves the quest feeling a bit janky. But overall, I still think it's a good quest, and the dialogue exchanges between Elder Maxon and Dance are very well written. Now, the only quest I absolutely don't like at all is the final quest for the Brotherhood of Steel, the one where you actually destroyed the Institute. Now, my reasoning for this is because I personally think it's fucking lazy. I do not like the quest because you use Liberty Prime, which is something you've already done in Fallout 3. It was cooler in Fallout 3, and there's no anti-communist music playing in Fallout 4. It's boring, it's lazy, it's repetitive, and you've already done it. To me, that sucks. And to me, it's very frustrating when you have the Pridwin. The Pridwin is such a cool set piece. Why couldn't have the ending involved something around the Pridwin? I got a load of comments when I suggested this in another video saying, well, how does the Pridwin fit into the Institute? My guys, it doesn't. That's not what I was planning. It's not going into the Institute. No. I was thinking of maybe the main quest with the Brotherhood of Steel could be around arming the Pridwin. They talk all throughout Fallout 4 about how the Pridwin is weak and it's vulnerable. Why not upgrade it so that it's got cannons, or it's got some sort of defense mechanism, or a laser? Better yet, what if they didn't find Prime's whole body, but instead they just found Prime's head, and they taped it or strapped it or glued it to the front of the Pridwin, and you flew it along, blasted a hole into the Institute, then dismounted and went in? That to me would have made a lot more fulfilling ending quest and a lot better ending quest, and I really would have liked that more. Other than that, I don't have many negative things to say about the Brotherhood of Steel. I think their main big issues is they are made look dumb, and their power scaling looks off by other factions. For example, them losing to the Railroad in the way that they did, I think is ridiculous. I think that some of their missions are a bit samey in some ways, and I think that Elder Maxon overlooks a lot of things to the point where he definitely shouldn't. He has a lot more trust in his people than he definitely should, which makes him very vulnerable. But is that, you could argue that's part of his character. You could argue it's not. I think they're a good faction in Fallout 4. They're not perfect. They're not a perfect faction, but they're definitely the best faction in the game in terms of how well written they are. So I'm going to put the Brotherhood of Steel at A tier. Okay, number 2, we have the Institute. Now, the Institute is very, very interesting. They are Fallout 4's pride and joy. They are Bethesda's pride and joy in this game. Yeah, the Institute are definitely Bethesda's big thing. They put all their cards in on the Institute being a cool faction that the player will like. And this is one of the problems with Fallout 4. The game doesn't revolve around the Commonwealth, it revolves around the Institute. Every faction revolves around the Institute and not the Commonwealth. In New Vegas, every faction revolved around the Mojave or New Vegas itself, and they were just fighting over land and control and what they believed in, contrasting with each other to have control over New Vegas. In Fallout 4, everyone fights over the Institute, and no one agrees with the Institute. The Institute, to me, is fucking stupid. They are a dumb faction that are trying to imitate what Caesar's Legion did, but just terribly, in my opinion. I personally think Father is a really dumb character, and he is insanely evil to the point where there's no redeeming qualities of you. He admits to letting you out as an experiment. He lets you out of the vault as an experiment. There's no way to convince him that his mother being murdered was bad. There's no way to convince him that using mercenaries is bad. There's no way to convince him that synths are somewhat sentient, like human-like people. No, you can't convince him on anything, which makes him a boring character, despite you being his literal father. His name is Father, by the way. Who the fuck at Bethesda who decided that? Who said, let's make Father called Father, but he's actually your son and you're his father? I don't know, but hey, that's a nitpick, I suppose. But yeah, Father's character, I do not like at all. It's so hard to like him. He goes out of his way to make it hard to like him. You join the Institute and he just blindly makes you leader, which Preston Syndrome kind of understandably makes everyone hate him even more, everyone around him. He feels like a very weak character, and despite supposed to being very intelligent, and this goes for all of the members of the Institute, none of them can see that synth life is actually procreative and is fully intelligent and self-aware. No one in the Institute has debates on that, no one talks about that, they all just blindly ignore it. You'd think there'd be some sort of internal conflict there. There isn't. There's no internal conflict about helping the above ground. There's no internal conflict about dealing with the Brotherhood of Steel, the Railroad, their enemies, diplomatically. There's nothing, and that really, really, really annoys me. It really does. You would think a faction like the Institute that deals in science so well would want to talk their way out of struggles and not just wipe everyone out. They're so evil, it's ridiculous. They interfere with the Commonwealth, and I genuinely don't know why. They say it's to like stop them interfering with them or becoming too powerful, but motherfucker, if you didn't send courses up replacing people and killing people, no one would know you were down there. You don't have to wipe out entire factions because you're scared that they're going to develop and then find you. Maybe just be a bit more quieter and no one would find you. They replace people with synths, which is just insanely evil, and they interfere with Commonwealth life. They're even completely fine with releasing the FEV virus, how they even have that I don't know, onto the Commonwealth, and then just being like, well, it's not our problem. It's so stupid. They are so evil for the sake of being evil, and their goals don't really align with it. They want, I covered this in my last video, but they want to ensure that humanity survives, but not only survives, thrives through technology. They're all scientists, that makes sense. They deem the only way of doing this to be living under the ground. Now, I can get behind this, but it doesn't really explain why they're so inherently evil to everyone above ground. Like, they fucking are evil to people above ground, and that's not really explained very well. It's to stop factions interfering? What are you talking about? The Brotherhood of Steel wouldn't have shown up if you didn't make your presence so clear. They never tried to humanize the synths at all, which I find to be very dumb. In terms of companions, there's one companion, and he's a Courser, so you get as much compelling dialogue with him as talking to a brick wall. Characters in the Institute suck. They're my least favorite characters in the whole game. They're boring, bland, and I can only remember a few of them. because most of them just completely fucking suck, okay? They're boring, they have no character, no personality, and it makes them so hard to relate to or like. Now, I will say, one thing I do really like about the Institute is the missions. They're the only faction that has direct missions with the Minutemen faction, which I really like and appreciate. They're the only faction that does things a little bit different in their ending. I think the ending where you take down the Brotherhood of Steel is really, really fun. I really enjoy that mission. It's just different to anything else we get, and it feels realistic in how they do it. I really appreciate that. And most of the Institute missions overall, killing the courses and stuff, the rogue courses, it's just pretty fun. It's fun stuff. I really appreciate it. I even really enjoyed when you have to make the radio, like, commands, the radio broadcast, and you can decide to be an evil, good, or straight through the middle leader. I like that. I really enjoyed that. I like when the scientist goes against the Institute and you can solve that situation. The quests are really well done for the Institute, and I appreciate that. So the gameplay is fun, and I enjoy that part of the Institute overall. I also do enjoy the concept of the Institute. I think synths as a concept work really well into the Fallout universe. I think that a group of scientists spawning a faction out of science when they've been morally corrupted works really, really well. I just wish there was a more direct way. I know that in the end you become leader of the Institute, so in theory you can make them how you want, but you can't in game. That's just bullshit. So I really wish there was more like debating you could do, and this is a problem that all the factions kind of have, other than the Brotherhood of Steel, which makes sense that you can't really debate with them. But I really wish, these are scientists. They should have inner debates about synths' lives, Commonwealth lives, how they do things, and they just don't, and it feels unrealistic. The Institute's not a terrible faction, but they're really not great either. I'm gonna stick them in C tier. Okay, so up next we have the Railroad. My least favorite faction in the whole of Fallout. Not just Fallout 4, in Fallout ever. How many times have I said it? The Railroad sucks because of how fucking stupid they are. Now we'll start with the good things. I enjoy all the characters in the Railroad. Yes, are they completely generic and one-sided? The crazy guy, the strong woman who holds heavy guns, the drummer boy who runs up and gives you the missions, the robot woman who doesn't know what she's saying because she's a robot. Yes, they're all generic, except like Deacon and Desdemona, in which I don't really like Desdemona, and I do really like Deacon as a companion. Deacon's a great companion, like his dialogue, like him as a character, he's cool. But I do enjoy the characters. Yes, they're flat in terms of their characteristics, but I enjoy them. I find them fun. And the other thing I find fun is the Railroads. Sometimes their missions. I think the Railroad do a really good job at presenting synths as humans, especially the first mission when in Bunker Hill, where you're saving, cannot remember his name, but you're saving that synth. Really likable, quite a fun mission, really cool. Big up High Rise, love High Rise, I love the concept of High Rise. That's really cool. How they save synths, and I like all the intricate stuff about them taking them out of the Commonwealth, rebooting their memory and giving them a new past and a life. I really like that stuff, and I like a lot of their missions. The side stuff with Tinker Tom's really fun. That's all cool. On to the bad stuff. The Railroad fundamentally are fucking stupid, from where they have their base to their strategies to their core beliefs. Okay, so let's start off with their bases. There is a red line, ladies and gentlemen, that leads you to the most secret, or the second most secret base in the whole of Fallout 4. It's so stupid. It's a red line. Not only that, but the password to join the Railroad is Railroad. When you get into the Railroad, they act so confused how you fucking got there, even though they not only advertise and recruit people to join. It's talked about all throughout the Commonwealth that people can join the Railroad. I don't know how, because you seem to be the first person to find it, despite there being a red fucking line that leads you straight to their base. And they act completely confused about this. But at the same time, they're like, they welcome you as some sort of genius. No sense to me. It makes no sense. Their other base, where High Rise lives, it's so stupid from a strategy point of view. Ah yes, let's place our synth safe haven where we transport synths from A to B up a massive fucking skyscraper, where the only way up and down is one elevator. Yeah, because that couldn't go wrong at all. It's just dumb. These things make the faction feel so childish. It's what I would think was cool when I was about 7. It's like a super secret club. They're like, yeah, and look at these symbols we use. What? What the fuck? What are these symbols? Like a little. They put these white symbols everywhere. Like forward is something, and then you'll walk 2 steps and it's right in front of you.
Good! Great! Awesome! Outstanding!
Yeah, super secret, guys. Good job. Good. Bethesda. Do you know subtlety?
No.
Do you know what subtlety is, Bethesda? Do you guys?
No.
Do you guys know that? Oh
No.
dear, I just can't. I genuinely can't. Their plans make no sense. Okay, their plan for the Brotherhood of Steel, the Railroad mission, where you take down the Brotherhood of Steel, is my least favorite mission in the whole of Fallout 4. It relies on 3 gormless dickheads getting through a full Brotherhood of Steel security checkpoint without the Brotherhood of Steel radioing for backup or saying the railroad's attacking them at all. Which they actually do because they send reinforcements, but I guess they then didn't, check up on the reinforcements or anything until they actually get to the base. You then take the reinforcements vertibird and you fly it off. Tinker Tom doesn't know how to fly a fucking vertibird. He should not be able to fly it. There is no part of me that thinks that gormless dickhead should know how to fly a vertibird. Well, truth, he clearly doesn't know and he learns. How? That's like me getting in a jumbo jet and going, well, I don't know how to fly it, but I just perfectly took off and landed and it was all good. What? No, it doesn't make any sense. Just pain. The Brotherhood of Steel security checkpoint thing makes them look like fucking idiots. And it even makes 0 sense why you should be the one to plant the bombs in the Pribwim. Because if you've done the Brotherhood of Steel quest up to this point, surely they should all know what your face looks like. Like, you wear this outfit to disguise yourself, but they should know what your face looks like. Because you've been working for them. And you've been a knight, or you've got up to a certain rank by this point. But I guess not. I guess not. It's so stupid. It's just... Yeah, it's ridiculous. And if you don't do that, you just guns blaze the whole lot, in which, what was the point in the bombs? You could have just done it on your own. Desdemona is also an unthankful bitch. I cannot believe it. You do 90% of the work for these idiots, 90% of the work, and I think you get a thank you once. It's ridiculous. And Desdemona's plans make no sense. Once again, we're talking about plans. The railroad, their whole thing is about freeing synths, to the point where they will actively ignore human trafficking and slavery to save synths. Robots, by the way. Robots with emotions. And they ignore actual issues within the Commonwealth to do with humans. Now, they'll save these synths, right? But they're okay with blowing up the Institute. This is another problem with all 3 of these factions. The Minutemen, the Railroad, and the Brotherhood of Steel. They can all be against the Institute. How do they solve the problem of the Institute? Just go in and fucking blow it up. There's no contrast between how they deal with the Institute. They all just want to blow it up. They don't want to take it over. They don't want to steal anything from it. They all just blow it up. The Railroad, out of all the factions, you would think would at least want to occupy the Institute for some sort of time to study synths and maybe understand how to repair them or fix them, even if they don't want to keep the Institute, then blow it up. No, they just fucking blow it up. They literally make synths extinct. It makes no sense to me. You're a freedom-fighting faction that wants nothing more but the protection and savior of synths, but you actively go out your way to make synths become extinct in the future. Tell me how this makes sense, please. Now, yeah, I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. The Railroad are also evil. They're completely evil. They kill the Brotherhood of Steel, which has children on board. They kill the Institute with scientists and everything. Oh yeah, and don't forget, your informant within the Institute, he kills... Oh, I can't use that word. He game ends thanks YouTube, he game ends himself because he is so upset that he's lost his entire family, his friends, and his base, people he grew up with, and you lied to the guy. You said, yeah, we'll do it all peacefully. You lied to him. And then you know what Desdemona does? She lies to her faction, and she's like, yeah, guys, he died a noble cause. He died in a noble fight. Terrible faction. Terrible. Just terrible. Your characters and your fun quests cannot save you. F tier. F tier. F. Okay, up next we got the Minutemen, the good guys of the Fallout universe. And I say good guys with quotation marks, but nah, they are just genuinely the good guys. It's hard to hate on the Minutemen because it's hard to see any other ending to Fallout 4 other than the Minutemen ending to not be the canonical canon ending. With the Minutemen, you can have the Brotherhood of Steel and Railroad still survive. You can kill the least amount of people, leave the Commonwealth in arguably the best state possible with synths being protected, it being rebuilded, and the Commonwealth being under the protection of the Brotherhood of Steel, the strongest faction in probably Fallout at the minute. I don't understand why they wouldn't make this a canon ending. The Minutemen on concept are really cool, and in my opinion, they're really cool before you, the player, get your hands on them. I think before the Quincy attack, before the Gunners destroyed the Minutemen and they all fell to parts and there was a civil war, I think then they were cool. The minute Fallout 4 starts, they're fucking stupid. They are basically the opposite of the Institute. The Institute is so evil, it's ridiculous. The Minutemen are such the good guys, it's ridiculous. It's so annoying. Preston Garvey is your only companion in the Minutemen. He's a fun companion and he's a good character, except he's not written great. I mean, you are a guy who's been in a vault for 210 years, your wife is dead and you're looking for your son, you're probably on the verge of a mental breakdown, and this gormless dickhead just gave you the responsibility of an entire faction dedicated to rebuilding the Commonwealth. Someone tell me the logic in that, please. You literally don't know what you're doing. The thing that really annoys me with the Minutemen is just how generically good they are. There's no, like, inner conflict with them. There's no, like, group they're biased against. They just want to save everyone. There's no reason to not pick them. Genuinely no reason. But at the same time, their power scaling feels completely off. You can go to every settlement, max out defense, and they still will all wear ragged clothes and use laser muskets to kill the enemies. There's no upgrade. It would have been really nice to see the Minutemen slowly upgrade, like through time, get better armor, equipment, and then finally start to take over and do things for themselves. The thing that really frustrates me with the Minutemen is you do everything for them despite being their leader. You fix all the faction settlements, you do all the faction quests, and you still take orders from Preston despite being his leader. It really annoys me, and you basically feel like a puppet leader. The characters are fine, like Ronnie and Preston and the radio guy. They're all fine, but like there's nothing there. That's basically it. There's 3 characters in the whole of the Minutemen that you actually know. All the other ones are basically nameless settlers, and it would have been really nice that after a while of protecting a settlement or being in charge of the Minutemen, the settlements slowly upgraded themselves and looked after themselves, but it just doesn't happen. I'm not really angry with the Minutemen like I was the Railroad and Institute. It's more frustration because I really think they could have been a much cooler faction. The idea behind shaping a faction that's built on protecting the Commonwealth is really cool. I'm someone who really enjoys the settlement stuff, but I think it's so fucking stupid that you have to do, I think it's 10 settlement quests as the Minutemen main quest. The Minutemen main quest is easily the most boring. It's not the most stupid, it's not the most poorly written, it's just the most boring. You do a couple missions with like Ronnie Shure to get Castle Base. You get Castle Base with Preston, you get cannons with Ronnie Shure, and then you do a load of settlement quests, then you find a secret passage into the Institute, which to be fair, that part of it's pretty cool, and then you just go into the Institute, and that's basically it. Really boring, just really repetitive, really the samey. I like doing settlement stuff on my own terms. I do not like having to be forced to do it. It's basically a side stuff. It's a side, I'd class it as a side thing in Fallout 4, and it should be. It should not be linked to main stuff at all. Like, not in that sense. And if it is, it should only really be 3 to 4 settlement quests, not huge settlement quests like we were getting in Fallout 4. The big problem with them as well is a lot of the time they don't make any sense. Settlers will be attacked by groups that are like miles away and they really shouldn't be attacked by. And they also a lot of the time are just really repetitive. Like, it will be the same quest, you're killing the same enemies, and it's just boring. It would have been really nice if you could shape the Minutemen and really mold them into a good faction, evil faction, corrupt faction, morally good. Imagine a Minutemen where you can have debates with other senior members of the Minutemen about who should be protecting, about maybe whether you seize Goodneighbor or Diamond City, whether you put assets and resources into food or water, whether you put assets or resources into becoming a strong military power, or a faction that gives out more food and resources. But we don't get any of those debates because it's very one-sided. You're the leader, you make all the important decisions, but you have no power of the little things like faction protecting and settlement protecting and providing, and overall it's just really stupid. Like, the characters are fine, the quests are fine, the aesthetics cool, I like the aesthetic. They are just the canon ending. I would be very surprised if they weren't. I know the Fallout TV show has a lot of people think the Brotherhood of Steel is the canon ending. I personally don't. I definitely think it's the Minutemen ending. I think the Fallout TV show proves it even more because the Brotherhood of Steel Pridwin flies back on its own. I think to me that shows that the Minutemen have got more power in the Commonwealth and maybe kicked them out, or maybe they didn't think they needed to be there anymore. So I would definitely say the Minutemen is the canon ending, and they're fine. I'll put them in D tier. They're not as good as the Brotherhood of Steel in terms of writing or characters or anything like that, but they're not a terrible faction, so I think B tier sits fine. So those are all the 4 main factions. Now we have the side factions and then the settlement factions. So starting off, we'll talk about the Gunners, aka the most wasted potential of a faction in any Fallout game ever. Yeah, the Gunners to me are really infuriating. They're really annoying because they are just a huge waste of what could have been a really fun and interesting and intricate faction. They just feel wasted, really wasted, and like there could have been so much more done with them. They are a mercenary group. Their whole point is that they are based on the pre-war military of America, and it's so hard to talk about them because they seem to have like so much spread out lore about them, how they control all these different bits of the Commonwealth, how they even have established bases outside the Commonwealth, which I think is really cool, which just shows how large they are. They have these 4 factions: the Railroad, the Institute, the Minutemen, the Brotherhood of Steel, 2 of which they are definitely stronger than, but they have no plans for the Commonwealth. They hold the most amount of land in the Commonwealth. They have the most supplies in the Commonwealth other than the Institute and Brotherhood of Steel, but yet they have no plans. They don't want to seize the Commonwealth. They don't want to do anything with it. They don't have any input over the Commonwealth or over like places like Diamond City or anything. They just seem to be contract killers, but they're a big faction. They took down the Minutemen, which to me shows that there is some sort of goal they have. Like, they have fought another faction, and they won, by the way. Why was there not a Gunner Minutemen plotline? I personally think there was supposed to be, but they were cut. This looks like a faction to me that at some point was supposed to be joinable, and it was cut. Because there's so much content, from the design, from the different dialogues you can have with different Gunners, to the amount of lore put in the game. But to then have them basically just be a discount raider group, they're literally only in the game for you to shoot at. There's only really one main quest that evolves around them, and that's the quest with McCree, and that's really, really fun, but that's it. There's nothing more, and it's really annoying because they could have been so much more, and it's just disappointing, really disappointing to see. I really wish there was more done with them. I really do. I think they could have been a lot more. The characters, we know that they have leaders. We don't know much about them. We know that they have like different members who did different things. We don't know much about them. The biggest waste of potential with me with the Gunners is that they have a direct link to the Minutemen, and there was nothing done with that. There's no like big Minutemen battle with the Gunners. There's no Gunners rivalry with the Minutemen. Nothing. You can't join them. They would have made a really cool 5th faction that want to destroy everyone. They want to take down the Minutemen, the Brotherhood, the Railroad, the Institute. That would have been so cool. We didn't get that. They feel completely cut. They're not terrible, but they're so undercooked. I mean, they are so undercooked. I'm going to put them in considering you can't play as them, I really am thinking of putting them in D tier. I'm gonna put them in C behind the Institute, just because you can't play as them. They're a half decent faction, but they're just nothing more than to look at, to be honest. It's just disappointing. Next up we have the baseline Children of Atom. It feels kind of unfair including them here, because they're literally, like, they're basically nothing in terms of a faction. I would be really annoyed that there's no quests revolving around them and there's nothing to do with them, but I'm not going to be, because Children of Atom are highly went in depth in Far Harbor, so I'm just going to put them in... I haven't talked about them. I'll put them in B tier behind the Minutemen. They're a decent faction. Like, they're throughout all the Fallout games, they've been presented well here. When you talk to them, they're presented well. Their base is cool. Their aesthetics are cool. They are the Children of Atom. They are done very well. They hail the nuclear sun and stuff. All their dialogue's really cool. Everything you talk to them about is cool. It works well. It works well. They're a decent faction. Up next, we have the Atom Cats, aka Fallout's power armor group. Fallout 4's power armor faction, because for some reason every single Fallout needs a generic power armor faction. The Atom Cats feel like they were supposed to be something more. Like, they have a cool logo and a design, and you can find them throughout the game, like a surprising amount, but they just do nothing. They're really close to another settlement, and they're like at this cutoff point where the gunners are very close to them, but they don't have any conflict with any factions. They're like a mini faction that you can't interact with, do missions for, or basically say anything to other than buy power armor from. The thing that made Fallout New Vegas so compelling to me was that you have the big three factions, right? Mr. House and Caesar's Legion and the NCR. But what made it so cool was every little faction was all fighting with each other for something. Take the outside of the New Vegas Strip, right? I can't remember what it's called, the location, but it's on that street where you have the Kings and you have a load of other little factions, the Khans and everyone, and they're all fighting for this one piece of land. The Khans aren't in that bit, but they're all fighting. I think it's the followers of the Apocalypse that are in that bit as well, and they're all fighting for this one little strip, and some of them have ties with each other and some of them are allies with each other, and you get to decide what factions in that strip have control. You can decide what factions have major control, what factions you want to help, and you get to see what they all want. What ones want dominance, what ones just want to survive, what ones want trade, and that's a really cool element. I really like that. It's just fun, it's just cool, and you get to decide which bit has dominance, and they're all fighting with each other. The Atom Cats feel like they were supposed to be that faction, but there's just no other factions around them, and they're just on their own, so in the end they just are really boring. I'm going to put them in D tier, I think. They're not bad. I might put them in C. Now I'll leave them in D. They're not bad, but there's nothing there. There really is nothing there. They're just boring. Really boring. Next up we have Pillars of the Community. That's it, I nearly forgot. Pillars of the Community is the Fallout cult group, but once again there's no depth. In other Fallouts you'd have zany generic missions with these guys, or quests. In this Fallout you have the one quest which isn't even theirs, it's the Jack Cabot family, where you have to go get Jack Cabot's sister. You can kill all of these guys, and it's just fine. You can join them, you get nothing out of it, you don't get to go any further, it's just kind of a gag, a little joke in the game about joining them, you give them everything and that's it. And then I really wish if you had done that, there'd be more, like you could do more with it, like if you could continue, you could do missions with them. I get it that they are a scammy group, they just scam everyone basically into joining them, and they just take loot and stuff out of it, but I wish you could join them in doing that, like become a scammer, but you can't, so they're just kind of there. They're in the middle of Boston, which is also really weird, and they are literally just there. So I'll move the Atom Cats up and put them in D, because there's really nothing to them, and I wish there was more to them. Next up we have the Triggermen. The Triggermen aesthetically are really cool. I like them as a first faction that you fight. Skinny Malone is a cool character. I like that you can talk him down and you can... Bear with me. Hello? Yeah, I think the Triggermen are a cool faction. Like I said, I like the fact that you can save Darla, I think her name is. I think that's her name, I'm not sure. And they really fit the Boston aesthetic. They are very Boston-y. They fit that aesthetic of low town, like mafia sort of group. I really like that. They're all ghouls, or mostly all ghouls. They're not all ghouls, but they're mostly ghouls in suits, and they're all dappered up. They've all got Tommy guns. I really like the aesthetic. I like that they're in a vault. Once again, though, I wish you could do more with them. You can kill Skinny Malone, talk him out of killing you, or letting Darla go, or keeping Darla with it. I wish that, you know, if you talked him out of it, I wish then you got some, like, closure with him, you got close to him, and maybe he sends someone after you at one point, and he's there like, oh, come join the Triggermen. No one's talked Skinny Malone out doing something before, so come join us. And then you find him in a new base. That would have been really cool as like a side faction that you can then do quests for, and you could join them as a mafia type. You can't do this once again. They're not a terrible faction because, like, there's someone to shoot, there is interaction with them, and they are like the starting enemy faction you fight. They're probably the first enemy faction you fight in the whole game. I think they are, yeah, in terms of main story. So I'll put them... They're not quite as nothing burger as the Atom Cats, so I'll stick them above the Atom Cats, I think. Okay, next up we have Goodneighbor. The settlement Goodneighbor. Goodneighbor's great. I don't really need to say much about it. The only companion in there is Hancock. And McCree, actually, and McCree. It's kind of the low-life, scummy area of the three factions in the three faction settlements in the Commonwealth. But their morals and their motives make a lot of sense. They're mostly made up of ghouls and rejected people from the high and mighty Diamond City. Diamond City doesn't allow ghouls, so a lot of them go here. Go to Goodneighbor, but it's also high on crime. It's very sly. It's very back towny, back alley-ish. There's a lot of memorable locations from Goodneighbor, like the Memory Den and the bar. You've got Hancock and his place, and there's some good quests there. It's a really good settlement. Overall, I'm gonna put it in A tier, next to the Brotherhood of Steel. I don't think I can put the settlements in S tier. As a settlement, that and Diamond Sea are S tier settlements, but I don't know if they're S tier factions. I don't think I'd put them as S tier factions because, like, there's no you can't join Goodneighbor. It's just like a group. So yeah, I'll keep them there. That being said, Diamond City I already know will go in the same spot. I'd put it above Goodneighbor slightly because there's more content there. Diamond City is a cool city. It's run by Mayor McDonough, who is at some point replaced by Synth Mayor McDonough. It's kind of the capitalist main zone of the Commonwealth, where all the trade and the industry goes on. But at the same time, there's not like huge amounts there you can do. It would have been cool if you could join Diamond City Security. I would have actually liked that, but you can't. They're definitely the safe haven spot, but it's hard to get into. They make it very clear that they're strict on things like synths and ghouls. They don't like them, and Super Mutants and everything like that. So they're very, like, different. The thing that I really like about Diamond City, though, is definitely the class distribution. You have the high stands where all the high and wealthy and mighty are. The middle, where like the middle class are, and then the low stands where like people just literally sleep in just sleeping bags. I really like the whole wealth divide there. Yep. Yeah. Overall, I think Diamond City overall is a really interesting faction, but they're not like a pro faction. Next up, we have Bunker Hill. Bunker Hill's hardly really a faction. I just included them. I guess you could count them as the Caravan faction. There's no interesting characters there. The thing that really annoys me about Bunker Hill is, like, they're afraid of raiders. What raiders? Like, they never say. There's never, like, this specific group that's specified. You can fully be a Minuteman and, like, fully have protection over Bunker Hill and all the settlements around it, and there's still a threat of raiders. Makes no sense. Bunker Hill also feels like an empty casket after the Battle of Bunker Hill. Like, all the AI and all the settlers and NPCs that are there that can't be killed because they're important characters are just sort of there and they can never die. But then all the characters who could have died are all dead. So like it just feels really like a waste zone with a couple people left in it, even though it's quite a large settlement. And it's technically run by the Minutemen. You can have it run by the Minutemen, so yeah. I thought it was quite cool though, like the idea of a trading settlement is cool, and it embodies like the caravanners quite well. I just wish there was more to do there. So overall, I'll put it as a B settlement. I'll put it above Children of Atom. Covenant is really cool. I like Covenant. That's going to go A tier. I don't have much to say about Covenant other than it's just a really cool gated-in community who fears synths. I like Covenant. Covenant cool. Okay, final 3. Super Mutants. Super Mutants in Fallout 4 suck. They really do suck. They're gonna go D tier. I need to hurry this up because there's a dog barking now, which I can imagine the audio sounds like shit. I'm about to lose my mind. I'm gonna get really pissed. Yeah, these Super Mutants suck in Fallout 4. They shouldn't even be in the game. They're not even supposed to be in the game. They're basically just there as something for you to shoot at. There's no interesting factions at all. The last time we had a cool Super Mutant faction was the Nightcrawlers with Fallout New Vegas. That was the last time we actually got an intricate Super Mutant faction. There's so many different groups of Super Mutants across the Commonwealth. They don't fight each other, but they're also not linked together, and they also have no motives. They hold Fort Strong at one point, and there's holy shit, that should be a really good and big achievement. Surely they're planning something with that. No, you just go and wipe them all out. Then they're such a nothing burger. There's not even one settlement that you can interact with or talk to or do anything with. Really stupid, really wasted. There's 2 Super Mutants in the whole game that you can interact with. One's Virgil, he's not linked to any of the other Super Mutants, and one's Strong, and he rebels against the Super Mutants. And that's the only time you see Super Mutants fighting each other, is literally Strong. So, really boring, literally there for you to shoot at, and it feels like they're doing the Super Mutants dirty. They shouldn't even be on that side of America. Next up, we have the Forged, aka the only good raider group in the baseline of Fallout 4. I included these guys because they're the only faction raider group in Fallout 4. All the other raiders are generic. I like the Forged. They're a high profile raider group that really stalk and crush and really steal and take goods from other settlements. They are very imposing, very powerful. They are a high threat. They steal high gear like Enclave equipment, and there's even a way of joining them through some horrific trials, and we saw that through a quest, one of my favorite settlement quests actually in the game, where you go and retrieve a samurai sword. Well, it's not actually a samurai sword, it's like a fire sword. I love that thing. And we see their trials there. The leader's cool, they have a cool aesthetic, they're very powerful. They're gonna go just above the Atom Cats, but below the no, they'll go above the Triggermen as well, because they've actually got some lore behind them. Finally, we have the Raiders. The Raiders are straight away. They're going D tier. I find the Raiders of Fallout 4. I find them really boring. Now, I get that you have to have something to shoot at in Fallout, an enemy that you can't talk to. The Raiders are that perfect enemy, and that makes sense in the universe. What doesn't make sense is that the Raiders are not supposed to be all linked together. They're not supposed to be allies. Therefore, it would have been cool if each Raider pack has a distinct art style of some sort, like New Vegas's did, or at least stood out from each other. They seem to just be thrown into such random locations for bases, which make no tactical sense or no positioning sense, and then they all look the exact same, which is really boring and really generic. They're fun enemies to fight, but they're just boring. They're really boring in terms of aesthetics and design, and there's no room to talk to any of them other than the Forged, which are the cool ones. So that has it. That is our tier list. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. It got a bit rushed towards the end. I apologize for that. This is a quite quick push out video so that I can get some up and coming high quality content coming up. I'd really appreciate if you like and subscribe to the channel. It is growing at a rapid rate, and I thank you guys ever so much for watching. I will see you all in the next video. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned, guys, and stay safe. Peace.